Well, welcome back, folks. As you know, tonight we are exploring the issues with regards to the 1-cent sales tax being proposed and voted on in the referendum on the November 8th. Our second guest tonight is Jack McWalter. Jack is an incredible community activist who has attended virtually every workshop and meeting that has been conducted on a county-wide level with regards to the tax, and he's here today to give us some of his insights. Jack, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I didn't think anybody noticed me going to all those meetings, but I've actually been following this issue for 10 years, right back to the last one, which was started in 2005 and ended in 2010. And I saw the deception, the fraud, the scamming that was in the presentations, and I wanted to follow this very closely to see if this would follow the same suit, and it has.
And those adjectives that you use really apply to elected officials.
Well, of course. I mean, this thing is going to be the largest tax scamming process ever in this county. $2.7 billion. There's no county in the whole state that is going to generate $2.7 billion over 10 years. And the way it's being presented is a crime. The school board, which has needs, I acknowledge that, but then they're going to get $1.3 billion. They put together a list by school that I spent 4 hours going through. And they came through, they had some things in there that were just incredible. Don Estridge High School, $25 million. Addison Meisner, $20 million. Olympic Heights, $25 million. That was a list that was put together. There's no intention of those schools, which are virtually brand new, getting any of those dollars, but it made Administrator Baker look awful good when she gave her presentation here to Boca Raton residents. The school board has said over and over and over it's going to be based on need. There's 196 schools in this county. 40 are going to be brand new in the next 10 years. They're going to be getting those dollars. So for the county board, the school board to point out that Boca is going to be getting $200 million in new schools is a lie. It can't happen.
Let me stop you there. Let's talk a little bit about the politics. It's an old trick at county commission level that the district commissioner who's most impacted by a yay or a nay vote usually votes in favor of what the people seem to want, while everybody else who's not in that district because they're elected on a he doesn't have to protect the position, votes the other way. How has the county commission positioned itself in the sales tax?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because I was in the front row when that 6-hour meeting when they were discussing this, and Commissioner McKinley, Commissioner Taylor, and the other commissioners were kept asking the Administrator Baker exactly what is this? How many dollars am I going to get? And they pointed out that the residents of District 4, Boca Raton residents, shouldn't get anything because they're too rich. They won't notice a 1-cent sales tax, and they were assured by the administrator that Boca and Delray Beach and Highland Beach and Manalapan, you don't have to worry. They're going to go, I'm putting together the priority list, and they're not going to get any dollars, I assure you. And if I get challenged on this, Al, all you have to do is anybody can just go to the website for this 1-cent sales tax and sit there and listen to it.
One county, 1 cent, or 1 cent, one county.
Right. In fact, when they had the 6-hour meeting, they mentioned Boca Raton 6 times, saying that, well, they didn't put a list together of things that they wanted. There's no need there. They don't want anything, and don't worry, they're not going to get anything.
And how did the county commission vote?
Oh, the 5 females voted for it. The 2 men voted against it. Steve Abrams voted against it, and Hal Valecki.
Falashay.
Yeah, thank you. He voted against it, but his point was, if Boynton Beach wants a new city hall, new fire department, new firehouse, new city hall, new cars, new parks, everything, they can issue a bond issue. Exactly. It makes much more sense than to tax the residents of this county over a 10-year period. This is amazing that this would even happen. In fact, the rest of the state, I have friends up in Tallahassee who've told me, this is amazing. They're all watching to see if we could pull this off. It's a joke. It's disgusting. The whole process is disgusting.
So let's get a little parochial. Let's talk about Boca Raton itself. What is the impact of the tax on Boca Raton, and what is the position of our city council?
Oh, this is absolutely amazing. I've been to 10 meetings up in the county, and I remember specifically the first one I came back and I went before the city council and said, well, how are you going to vote on this deal? And the Mayor Haney told me, well, nobody asked me. The second meeting about a month later, 2 months later, I came back before the city council and asked Mayor Haney, well, they're still waiting for you to vote. Well, we're not voting because we want flexibility. He said, ask Steve Abrams. Excuse me. Steve Abrams, a former mayor who I'm very high on. I did. An hour later, he comes back on an email and says he wants flexibility. The last time was a 6-hour meeting where they mentioned Boca in a derogative standpoint, and I went before the city hall, and asked them exactly what is going on here. There's no intention of Boca ever getting the $300 million that are going to be sucked out of the city over the next 10 years.
On a yearly basis.
No, it'll be a total of $300 million, and we're going to get zero in return. And you know what I was told? I was told by the city council member Mullo, who told me, well, Boca's always been a donor city. And then the county, Jeremy Rogers, who's on the city council, well, I support this also. And Mayor Haney gave me a startled look like, why am I even bringing this up? This doesn't matter to Boca Raton. Well, it should. I figured out the average resident, 10 years, we're going to be 125,000 people, 60,000 dwellings, about $25 billion in assets. It's what it costs the average resident at least $500 a year, close to $7,000 to $9,000 over the life of this 10-year deal, with zero in return. That's the criminal part about this.
Let's talk a little bit about the regressive nature of a sales tax.
Well, as you get lower in the income level, people will spend a lot more, which will be subject to the 1 cent sales tax. The people that the logic or the thoughts are is the wealthier and the higher the income, when you get over $100,000, people will be spending many of their dollars on other investments, if you will. Maybe buy a new Mercedes, which won't be only the first $5,000 is susceptible to it. But it's a regressive in nature, and it'll affect the poor and a lot more than it would the rich. But it still has devastating effect to the average income. And let me talk about this. Next year, we're looking at a 10% increase in property taxes. Medical costs are going out of sight. If you have a family of 4 and you get $4,500 a year, it's going up to $2,000. That's $6,500. Hurricane costs. We have a hurricane coming right at us. What do you think Citizens is going to charge next year? It'll be ridiculous, 10, 20, 30%. And here they want to throw this tax on top of all that, especially for the residents in Boca Raton that are going to be paying out the year for the next 10 years with nothing in return. So that's my point. I'm very disgusted with the city council.
Let's cover one more topic because we're running out of time. There is an argument being made that this sales tax will allow tourists that come here and leave to contribute towards the impacts that they have on our roadways and our systems, et cetera, et cetera. Do you defend against that? Well,
the 25% of this tax is supposed to come from the tourist industry. What if it doesn't? What if it doesn't? It's going to be made up by the taxes on the 1 cent sales tax to the residents. I don't believe, in fact, they even had Ms. Gannon up there discussing that whole issue at one of the meetings. She disagreed. She disagreed that it would be garnering 25% in taxes.
Ms. Gannon is the tax collector.
Right.
Okay.
She disagreed with that. This whole thing is really a joke. It's all based on political favoritism. The mayor of Boynton Beach, as I said earlier, is already bragging about hundreds of millions of dollars coming into his community. I mean, this is criminal. I don't understand why it's actually so disgusting that people outside Boca Raton or actually outside the county are actually laughing at us. They think this is a joke. Well, folks, Jack, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. There's so much on this topic. Both our previous speaker, Sid Dinerstein, and Jack McWalter have each penned articles on BocaWatch over the last couple of weeks. I recommend that you go out and read their articles. I want to thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Keep up the diligence, and
Yes, thank you.
We'll be right back, folks.